welcome back to the Rugby Connection podcast. As always, for the fans, by us, the fans, because if you hadn't noticed, me and Murray, we do like to dabble in rugby here and there, just a sort of passing by thing. Yeah. Yeah. As you can see, it's me and Murray again, the dynamic duo, as we have been come to call ourselves.
In a new environment
cover. Yeah. Murray's in a different location. Plenty of rugby to cover this week. Obviously, we had the top 14 playoffs. We had Super Rugby playoffs, bit of Currie Cup, and some news to cover. Training squads for World Cups announced. But before we start, as always, Murray, how you keeping?
I'm good. Yeah, busy old weekend. Was a good old wedding on Friday night.
Love a wedding. I could see the pictures. You were looking very fly and handsome.
Thank you. Stone cold sober though, because driving.
That's a bastard.
I know, but it's fine. It was too expensive. It was like £13 for like 2 drinks.
Yeah, I've had an interesting weekend as well. Went out on Saturday, but ended up being an early night. Thank God, because I wasn't drinking. I was as well driving. Had to take my mate home because it was his 18th birthday about a month ago, but we're only having his party now. But he absolutely crashed. He drank far too much too early, so I had to take him home early. Nice. So nice early night for me. So yeah.
Love that.
Let's get on to the rugby aspect. I'm sure plenty of drinking took place in this week's rugby because we have playoffs. It's playoff week. We'll start with the top 14. We'll start in France.
Okay.
On the Friday night, we had Toulouse versus Racing. I did see this coming, unfortunately. Toulouse just proving it too good for Racing 92. The final score going 41-14 to the top dogs in France.
I really want it to go. I really want it to be different.
It would have been amazing to be different, but I think we saw it coming. We'll talk about the game. But then the more interesting game for me of the weekend, La Rochelle versus Bordeaux. I was very close to this prediction. I said La Rochelle by 12 points. It ended up being La Rochelle by 11. But the score sheet does not tell the full story because La Rochelle's dominance went far beyond just the score sheet. Ends 24-13. But obviously, Murray, you've been known to have a bit of a soft spot for Racing when it comes to the top 14. Do you want to go? This is a game I missed. So do you want to go over the Racing result?
Just Toulouse doing what Toulouse do. They just took the piss. They just turned it up, and Racing had no answers. There was Anton Dupont doing out the backs, no look. It was just ridiculous. And you know what? There's a reason that they have 21 league titles.
Yeah. A player that we've mentioned plenty of times on this pod, but a player that we sort of brought to light along that sort of Untermack, Dupont, Thomas Ramos. His kicking was on point. I mean, how many kicks he takes? 5 conversions and 2 penalties along, all struck. 100% kicking success for him in this game. Yeah, it was. I suppose you could say it was almost a game of 2 halves, but it was almost like a game of 1 long half. Because, I mean, up until the 60th minute, Toulouse were absolutely dominant, just points being scored consistently. And that's what teams like Toulouse do to you. If you let them, they will just keep putting points on you until you physically can't come back from it. But again, sort of after that 60 minutes, Toulouse go a bit quiet. Racing sort of start. Gail Fickou gets a try on 71. And Dilo gets on 76. Russell, we were talking about his kicking last week. He kicks both. But, Cross goes over for a try in the 80th minute just to add insult to injury, just to spread a bit of salt on the wounds. It was an absolute routing.
It was
for Racing.
I don't know why I expected really anything else, but
the top 14 right now, especially when you've got a team like Toulouse and a team like La Rochelle, who just seem like they are two of the most dominant teams in world rugby at the moment. Definitely two of the best teams in world rugby. I feel like Toulouse definitely have that star power, where La Rochelle, although they definitely have some big players, they're just good.
Yeah, they're just good players. Yeah, no,
They're just very good, very well drilled, just a very good team. Toulouse just have those star quality players who, week in, week out, just put on the performance. And again, I'll just mention them again: Thomas Ramos, an Untermack, Anton Dupont, coming against that trio, an international quality trio and the top of the international game. If you're not up to par, it's going to be a big hurting.
Shall we predict the final then? Because the final is on Saturday. It is Toulouse versus La Rochelle.
Toulouse versus La Rochelle, it's a hard one, because watching La Rochelle's game against Bordeaux, La Rochelle are very good at just suffocating teams. And that's how I describe Bordeaux's performance. They were just suffocated. It might not have been the biggest.
La Rochelle's very physical. Yeah.
But we said this before. La Rochelle have the template to beat teams like Toulouse and a Leinster, teams who like to put points on you, teams who like to run the line. And we've seen them. They've done it twice against Leinster now. And
you just like mentioning that.
They're a very physical team. Again, Toulouse, like we said about Leinster, a team who like to set up off a set piece. Mm-hmm. That sort of first phase play is vital for them. And La Rochelle are just very, very good at disturbing the set piece, very, very good at disturbing the breakdown. Mm-hmm. And even when they, as we saw in the Champions Cup final, even when they are put, in a tough position, like a 17-point deficit, they have that ability to come back, which I think is vital against a team like Toulouse, who you sort of have to go into the game expecting them to score points, and you just have to have that mentality of, okay, they're going to score points, we're going to score more points.
Pretty much. That's it. I'm going to go La Rochelle. I think La Rochelle can do the double.
I'd like to see La Rochelle do the double. Yeah, I can see that happening. I think they've proven
your top tells me otherwise.
Yeah, well, I only got this top today. It's a very nice one, nice, night, comfortable, so I thought I'd wear it.
Fair enough.
I don't have a La Rochelle top. If I did, I'd be wearing that. It's definitely on the list. But yeah, La Rochelle, it's going to be a tight one. So I'm going to say La Rochelle by 2 points. 2 points in it. I think a conversion, or they're going to be a point behind and a penalty from an old Hastoy is going to be the decider.
You know what? I'm going to say La Rochelle by a try.
Yeah. I will say just one, I suppose, worrying thing is old Bottier went off in the Bordeaux game with what looked like to be an injury. They didn't really go into depth with it, but I think, a player like him, if he isn't fit next week, could be a problem for La Rochelle just because of how much of a breakdown threat he is. He's probably at the moment, I'd say, up there with the best in the world at the breakdown. And like we said, La Rochelle do well at disturbing that sort of breakdown area, and without a weapon like him, it'll be interesting to see. But nevertheless, obviously only the 2 games, semi-finals. Do you want to go on to some Super Rugby?
Quarterfinals we had.
Or quarterfinals,
sorry. Quarterfinals for the Super Rugby. Sorry.
Quarterfinals for the Super Rugby, yeah. On the Friday night, we had Blues versus Waratahs. We talked about Waratahs maybe being able to at least give the Blues a good game, but that's not what happened. And Murray actually said he thinks this is where the Blues are going to start ramping it up. And by the looks of it, you were right, because 41 points to the Blues, 12 points to the Tars. Again, an absolute routing. On the Saturday, we had Chiefs versus Reds, a close game. The Reds might be sort of a bogey team for the Chiefs. The Chiefs get it done 29-20 this time around. Obviously, the Reds beating them earlier in the regular season.
Yes.
He's
done it when it matters. So
yeah, exactly. And playoffs, no bonus points. You just, even if it's a 1 point win, that's all that matters. You go on to next week. A game that broke everybody's hearts.
I hated predicting it. I hated
Crusaders
everybody.
versus Drua. 49 points to the Crusaders, 8 points to Fijian Drua.
But
Again, suffocation.
they will come back stronger from that. They will learn a lot.
100%, and there were definitely some positives for the Drua in that game. There were moments in that game where the game started, the disorganization that the Drua like and thrive on started coming into it, and Crusaders did start to sort of capitulate a bit. Obviously, the 8 points conceded, a lovely interception try, and then a kick at post. But yeah, I think like I said last week, we probably expected something like this. Crusaders been there, done that before. But I mean, Drua to get to a quarterfinal in their second season, like you just said, they're only going to learn from this and go up from here. So next season, expect big things from the Drua. But then a result that I'm very happy to see, and a result that I will say, I did predict wrong. I didn't put all my faith in the Brumbies, but the Brumbies do get it done, 37-33 against the Hurricanes.
I got 4 from 4. I got a full house.
You got 4 from 4. You absolutely predicted perfectly. I got 3 from 4. Obviously, I tipped the Canes to a job over the Brumbies, but the Brumbies, in all fairness to them, fair play. And it's nice to see, obviously 3 Kiwi teams. We're used to seeing majority Kiwi teams in those semi-final spots. But the Brumbies there, there's still hope for Super Rugby title heading back to Australia.
It's been a while since Australia had a Super Rugby title.
Who won it last? Reds?
Oh, well,
was it the Tars?
Well, they had Super Rugby AU. Yeah, it would have been the Tars, the last Super.
The Ross proper Super Rugby, 2014, no?
Proper Super Rugby, as Cam just said there.
Well, yeah, let's be honest. The Super Rugby where everybody plays everybody. I want to say it's 2014 when the Tars won it.
I think you're right. I'm not entirely sure. We will find out.
When they had that Volvo, they had the Volvo sponsored jerseys.
Yes, they did. I know what you're on. I know exactly. I can remember it vividly.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Anyway, while Murray's looking for that, we'll just run over the semi-finals. Next.
What year did you say Tars won it?
2014, I said the Tars won it.
You are correct.
Happy
33-32 over the Crusaders.
That's the one. Yeah, that's it.
Last time the Brums won it.
2007? Oh, 2004.
Yeah.
So the Brumbies journey does not get any easier, because next for the semi-finals we have Chiefs versus Brumbies, and we have the Crusaders versus the Blues for the 3rd time this season. Let's do some predictions, because these are juicy ones. We'll start with Crusaders versus Blues, because I want to leave the Chiefs Brumbies one.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll start with Crusaders versus Blues. We're in Christchurch.
Crusaders by 6. It's gonna be scrappy.
Yeah. I kind of want to go on your hype train of the Blues ramping it up.
Oh yeah,
and also Bowden Barrett saying, he came back from a little bit of time off, saying that he's feeling fresh and he's feeling in form. So I'm going to stick with Bodie, and I'm going to say the Blues continue this.
Wait, no, I'm going to change up. Sorry, I'm going to change, because I've just realised that Mark Talea plays for the Blues, and he's on fire. If anyone could beat.
But Will Jordan plays for the Crusaders, and he was looking pretty damn good after a long time off.
You know what? I'll stick with the Blues. I'll lock that in. We'll say Blues by. So you know what? I'll stick by the 6. I'll stand by that.
Yeah, I want to go the Blues as well. I'll say the Blues again. A close, scrappy game. I'll probably say like 4-5 points. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a point in it, to be honest, because these two teams, are used to slugging it out.
Just watch the Crusaders run away with it. Now that
we've said that, probably Crusaders by like 50, but let's not put that into the universe. Chiefs versus Brumbies. Can the Brumbies do it? That's my question to you, Murray. Can the Brumbies do what only the Reds have done so far this season and go to the Chiefs' backyard and get a win?
Yes, they can. They definitely have the.
But will they?
I don't know. And I'm not disheartening Brumbies as, but just to make it interesting, I would like to see them do it because I would like New Zealand versus Australia.
Yeah, it would make the final a hell of a lot more interesting if the Brumbies had, and I'm not discrediting the Crusaders, the Blues this season because they've both been pretty good, but if the Brumbies had drawn either one of those two teams, I would be more confident that we'd see the Brumbies in the final. But the fact that they've drawn the Chiefs
at home,
unfortunately, and I know I kicked myself for not backing the Brumbies last week, but this time I genuinely do believe it's going to be a step too far for them. Okay. I'm going to go Chiefs by 10 points.
I don't know, because we've had, again, when I can't decide, I do podcast bias. So we've got Alex Nankerville representing Chiefs, and we've got Nick White representing Nick White. You know what? My logic makes no sense, but it's fine. I'm going with it. Just because I've met them in person, I'll go for Nick. I'll back Nick. I'll go for the Brumbies.
Soon to be a Force player as well.
He is, but it's a shit reason that I'm going for that. But there we go. I've not met Alex in person yet, but he's signing for Munster. So
Brumbies by how many though? What are we talking score wise?
2.
Okay. We're predicting like some weeks we're in the mood for big score lines, but this week we're going very tight and close, aren't we?
Yes, we've got. But just before you go into your beloved Currie Cup, there is one I would like to mention.
Go for it.
It's from the women's game. It is the Premier15s because we had the semi-finals from that this weekend as well. Gloucester Hartbury beating Bristol Bears 21-12 to get their first ever final, and it's also a home final because Kingsholm is hosting it this year. But the one I want to talk about because first team, fifth team, women's team, under 16s. Anytime this team gets beat, I love it. And especially because it was my team, Exeter Chiefs beating Saracens 24-21, 14-0 down at half-time, Chiefs were. And Scotland utility player, because she plays back row for Scotland and she plays on the wing for Chiefs, Ailey Sinclair with the clutch try with about 90 seconds to go.
That's a hell of a player to have in your arsenal, isn't it?
Well, here's one that could do better. That's Exeter Chief as well. Captain America herself, friend of the show, Kate Zachary, number 8, outside centre and wing. She's played all of them all season, and she does them very easily. That's ridiculous.
Disgusting. It's just something you don't see much in the men's game. The only players that I can think of,
Bottia probably. Is the only one that really sticks out.
And Christ, his name's escaped me now. Capped for France in the autumn, can play the wing and back row.
I can't remember his name.
His name escaped me.
But
you guys can roast us in the comments.
Before we get into the predictions for the final, there is some news that has came out from one of the Premier15 semis between Chiefs and Saracens. Poppy Cleo.
Yeah. Did her best Backy's birthday impression.
Allegedly headbutted Exeter Chiefs head coach in the tunnel.
Yeah. Why?
There's so many things going through my head.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sure after a loss like that, and if there's tensions high, I'm sure a lot of us would want to headbutt someone. But why?
This was a half time.
Headbutt.
Half time. Saracens were winning at half time. 14-0, and they headbutted the opposition coach. Okay. But anyway, final 24th of June at Kingsholm, Gloucester versus Exeter Chiefs. I hope to be there. I'm trying to get travel sorted because the tickets, Cam, actually, if you want to join me, go for it because the tickets are dirt cheap.
Happy days, and Gloucester's not too far away from me.
Please come. It means I know I have to travel myself,
I will see. I will see what my schedules look like. I can't promise anything. I'm a busy man, Murray. But do you want to predict the final? Nevertheless, do you want to predict the final?
Back your team.
Obviously, you're backing your team.
Chiefs going for their. To be fair, I'm not slouching Gloucester. Top of the table. Their first ever final. It's at home, but Chiefs return to the final. They've kept the cup. They're going for the double. They want to win their first Prem title. And again, back your team. So I'm going to say Chiefs by 5, even though it's not for another 2 weeks, but we'll predict it anyway.
Yeah, listen, I'm nothing against your girls at all. I enjoy pretty much all the teams in the Premier 15s, but just like you said, their first final and at home, it would be quite nice and a bit different for Gloucester to take the title.
That's fair. I'm not against that.
So I'll go for Gloucester by 7.
Okay, there we go.
Right, my turn to talk about some Currie Cup. Because it was the final of the regular rounds in the Currie Cup this week. We are going into the straight into the semi-finals for, I think, next week now. But we'll run over the scores. On the Friday night, we had the bottom of the table clash between the Griffins and the Lions, both teams unable to qualify before this round started. So just basically playing for pride. The Lions get it done 39-22 over the Griffins. We had the Griquas versus the Pumas. Ended up 27-17 for the Pumas. Pumas securing that sort of third spot on the table. They weren't able to get any higher than that, so they'll be away for their semi-final. And then if we go on to the Saturday, this is where it got interesting because obviously Sharks and Cheetahs were top of the table, but the positions could have swapped, and they did swap for an embarrassing reason for the Sharks. But Bulls versus Cheetahs, an absolute classic in Currie Cup and just South African rugby history anyway. Maybe the biggest rivals when it comes to Currie Cup. Absolute classic, instant classic in Pretoria, 31-27 to the boys from Bloemfontein for the Cheetahs, which secures them at that point the top spot on the table. However, if the Sharks can go to DHL Stadium and beat Province, then the Sharks get the top spot. But, and this is where I may go on to a bit of a rant, the Sharks get absolutely embarrassed after what has been a brilliant Currie Cup campaign. 44-5. We were beaten by Western Province. And the most worrying thing for me is that we were starting a lot of our top line players. You know, a lot of the boys who represent us in the URC. I'm talking Kerwin Bosch. I'm talking Werner Koch. You know, all these boys who are supposed to be our top rate players, Krobele, Chatuka, you know, we've been playing for the majority of this Currie Cup with, I suppose you could say, our B team, but they've been getting us the results. And now we've put, granted, some of them haven't played for a while, but we put them back into this team, these players who have played the URC, and we get beaten 44-5. You know, and I'm talking about experienced players in key positions. I'm talking Kerwin Bosch at 10, who was not very impressive. A Cameron Wright. Now, listen, he's not our top string. He's probably our third-rate scrum half, but he has represented us at the URC. I don't want to be harsh, but he shouldn't put on a Sharks jersey for a while because he can't box kick.
Okay.
Yeah. But listen, we've got a home semi-final, and if the Cheetahs get beaten, we have a home final still. But next season, we've got a new coach. We've made a hell of a lot of signings. Eric Conyer, Siamasuku, Oosthuizen, a lot of signings coming to the Sharks next season, new coach. So and a lot of young blood who have proven themselves in this Currie Cup.
Okay.
But yeah.
Happy
I want to
days.
talk
Well,
about,
mostly happy days.
I don't think I can because no. Is it? Oh no, it is. Sorry. I thought it was a couple of weeks till the semi-finals. Next week, we've got the Cheetahs versus the Bulls in Bloemfontein, a repeat of that fixture, and the Sharks versus the Pumas in Durban in the Shark Tank. Go on, let's do some predictions. Cheetahs versus Bulls in Bloemfontein.
I don't know. Cheers. Yeah.
Cheetahs to do it again? Yeah.
Sure.
Just because if the Cheetahs lose, it means that we get a home final. I'm going to say the Bulls by 2. Okay. Sharks versus Pumas. The Pumas are a quality side, but we have done the double over them this season. So I'm going to say for the 3rd time, we are going to beat the Pumas. I'm going to say Sharks by 5.
Just for fun, I'll say the Pumas. I don't know.
You're a bastard, Murray.
I don't know. I don't follow the Currie Cup.
You're a bastard. You should follow the Currie Cup.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, that is the rugby. We do have news, as always, to talk about. Obviously, we've talked about the Poppy Cleal incident. I suppose, actually, talk about incidents. Old Johnny Sexton has had his punishment from the EPCR after his comments or what he said to Jaco Pijper after the final, calling Jaco Pijper an absolute disgrace, which I'm sorry is just unnecessary and not wanted. But after everything, he's essentially just got a slap on the wrist. Just a little naughty Johnny.
There was
I think that's completely unfair. You saw
saying that he's going to miss 3 World Cup games, but it's obviously not true.
No, it's just not. And you see players like Jack Knoll getting a hefty fine for questioning a referee decision. Not even 2 phase. Like, I'd say what Jack Knoll did is nothing compared to calling the referee an absolute disgrace to his face. Obviously, going back to Razzie Erasmus, making his video, he got banned from being at international fixtures. And old Johnny Sexton on his high horse gets away with a slap on the wrist. Double standards. I think it's stupid. And, I'll agree that Jaco Pijper maybe didn't referee the best game, especially around the breakdown in that Champions Cup final. But calling him an absolute disgrace is completely out of order. I don't care whether you agree or not. I've seen people say, oh, yeah, but Johnny Sexton has a point. He did not ref the game well. Does not matter. You can say, not your best game ref. An absolute disgrace. If Johnny Sexton plays a game and misses 3 out of 4 kicks, am I allowed to go up to his face and say you're an absolute disgrace? No. I agree with you. I just thought, and we talk so much about, the hate that referees get. And yes, the consistency with the international game and with the club game needs to be improved because it's very inconsistent. But multiple times, and we've said it multiple times on this podcast, online abuse is one thing. Going up to the man's face and saying you are an absolute disgrace.
You're sorry, just to go slightly off topic. You said that he's had the slap on the wrist.
Yeah, well, that's from what I've seen.
So I'm reading this. This was, as of recording, this was posted 10 hours ago.
Okay, so that might have been what I've seen.
It's from the Independent, so it's on about. The headline says Johnny Sexton's World Cup plans in jeopardy as Euro Chiefs investigate referee row, right? And then like blah blah blah, like they're deeming it as intimidating what he did. The out half could be slapped with as much as a 10-week ban if European Rugby's disciplinary panel throw the book at him.
See, what I saw was that he was going to get a fine. So I assume it hasn't been decided yet.
So, from what I've gathered, no, it's not been decided. But let's just take that. Let's just say, what if
A 10-week ban from now?
Sexton's finished. There's no World Cup for Sexton then. Oh no, there is.
Yeah.
We're just under 90 days.
1, 2, 60.
7,
No,
70
10
days.
weeks he would just make the World Cup.
Oh, fucking doesn't matter then. What's the point?
Exactly.
How's it in jeopardy then?
I don't know.
Ah, well, Sexton, don't say stuff.
Don't be a sore loser, Johnny. Don't be a sore loser.
You weren't even playing. Let it go.
On to more positive news, though. I suppose positive news because we rumoured it last week. There's a reason I have a Son Goliath jersey hanging over there.
Yes, there is.
Because our old mate Cheslin Colby, rumoured to be moving to Japan to an undisclosed club, which me and Murray knew was Son Goliath, has now been confirmed that it's Son Goliath. Cheslin Colby in Japanese League One. What a massacre is that going to be?
I mean, if it's anything from when I tried to watch Japanese League One, when Bowden Barrett went across, came off the bench to score a hat-trick, yeah, this is why I don't like it. Because the gap between high-caliber players like Bowden Barrett and now Cheslin Colby and like the Japanese boys fresh out of high school or college is massive.
There's big money there. But I think the competition is lacking. I think it's a good place if you want to go earn money and just keep match fit, I'd say.
Is it match fit? I'm not being disrespectful because I know there is but is it match fit? Because obviously if you're an international caliber player and obviously you are doing the runs at international level, you're doing it against Japanese League One. It's not the same, is it? Like, as a field day. You don't have to go full pelt.
But then, I'd say arguably this last season of Japanese League One, which, listen, I didn't watch much of it. I caught the odd highlights reel, but I followed it on old Flash Score and whatnot. Fairly competitive. And there are a lot of big names over there in League One, a lot of Springboks.
Yes. Actually, right, okay. We'll put that out. We'll put that out on Instagram and TikTok. Should, for season 4 of RCP, when we return, when the World Cup's on, should we cover Japanese League One?
Well, let's put a poll up. Should we cover on a week-to-week basis? Should we cover either top 14, Japanese League One, or MLR?
No. Mm-mm.
Or should we bring the NPC back?
Oh God.
No, that was boring.
It wasn't even boring. It's just we
had nothing to talk about.
We started the season very early.
At least this year we have a World Cup.
So we kind of clutched at straws. But anyway. Yeah. Cheslin Colby's away to Japan. Sticking with South Africans. And
training squad announced.
Yes.
Not too many surprises, I'll admit. Listen, there weren't going to be many surprises. Obviously, an RJ Snyman back.
Good. I'm really happy to see him back.
But also, John Klein. Maybe.
So,
potential.
For those that don't know, John Klein was a lock for the Stormers / Western Province. There you go. Signed for Munster, got picked in Ireland's World Cup squad in 2019, hasn't played, has won the URC with Munster this season, very well, quite a key player in their title run, has been called up to the Springbok squad via pending an application form.
Yeah. Do you know what I genuinely think this is?
Is this the first U-turn? Because you see players trying to switch allegiance all the time. He's now going
back.
Yeah, it's the first U-turn.
You know what I think this is? And listen, I don't think he's going to be part of the World Cup squad.
Oh, that's harsh.
But getting him into a training squad then locks him in to a South African contract. a Springbok contract. So I genuinely think, and listen, unfortunate for him. Well, it depends on his ambition. Does he want to play for the Springboks? It looks like it. Would he like to play at a World Cup? I'm sure. But listen, we've got Eben Esbet, Luke Diaga, RJ Snyman, Franco Mostert, Marvin Oddie. We've got plenty of locks. Do I see a space for him right now? No. Do I see a space for him in the future? Yes, which is why I would quite like to just get him in the training squad and lock him down with a contract. I know that sounds a bit shady, but, get him back in South Africa, playing in the green and gold next year.
See, I don't have any issue with it, personally. I just think it's a bit weird. It doesn't...
I mean, you've done it with I suppose, like, it wasn't a U-turn, but with old Ben Healy.
To be fair, they worked quick on that one. It was Gregor Townsend wants Ben Healy in the Scotland team.
Yeah.
Boom, Edinburgh signed him. Right, so that's sorted, and that's, yeah. There's this weird limbo right now because we don't actually know if he's getting if he's being permitted to go.
Yeah. Listen, ultimately, if he's not in the squad, doesn't bother me.
See,
it's not going to affect our World Cup run.
I just think he's a very good talent. Somebody needs to cap him.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Ireland never capped him.
Yeah, I got comments like that during the week when the news broke. So a lot of Irish followers on my personal account was saying, like, Ireland's dropped the ball here with this one.
Yeah,
but it is what it is. More praise to Klein than anything, but two top tier nations want you.
Well, exactly, and the Springboks, that especially as a lock.
Yeah.
If old Razzie says, "Hey, by the way, we want you in our training squad amongst Eben Etzebeth, RJ Snyman, Franco Mostert, and Luke Diaga, some of the best locks in the world."
Yeah.
Fair play. I'd like to see him there. But if he isn't there, oh well.
Well, we have got another training squad.
Yes. And some interesting recalls.
It's a bit smaller, but they have explained it. So I don't know why some people online are bitching and moaning that. So Steve Borthwick has named a 28-man squad ahead of the summer test before the World Cup, but they do not involve any Leicester Tigers, Northampton Saints, Saracens, or Sale Sharks, as they all played in Premiership semi-finals, so the players have that time off.
Yeah.
So the forwards, as of right now, is Jamie Billmeyer of Newcastle Falcons, Alex Donbran of Harlequins, Tom Dunn of Bath, Charlie Hughes of Bath, Ellis Genge of Bristol, Ted Hill of Bath, formerly of Worcester Warriors. That's very nice to see him there. Joe Marler of Quins, Zach Mercer. We all know he's coming to Gloucester, but right now he's still a Montpellier player, which is
Montpellier, yeah,
interesting. Ben O'Bano of Bath, Tom Pearson, who does say London Irish. We'll get into that in a minute. Tom Pearson, Valor Pavaruskin of Gloucester, Kyle Sinclair of Bristol, Will Stewart and Sam Underhill of Bath, and Jack Walker of Quins. And the backs are Henry Arundel of London Irish, Danny Kerr, obviously, of Quins, Joe Singer of Bath, Ollie Hassel-Collins of London Irish, but soon to be Leicester Tigers, Will Joseph of London Irish, Ollie Lawrence of Bath, Joe Marchant of Quins, soon to be Stade Francais, Johnny May, yay, of Gloucester, Caden Murley of Quins, Harry Randall of Bristol, Henry Slade, Victor Chiefs, and Marcus Smith of Quins, and lastly Ben Spencer of Bath. Now, yeah, that's an alright team.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see a recall of a Joe Marler, a recall of a Danny Kerr. Zach Mercer there as well is nice.
So when the squad got announced, there was one name missing, that stood out to me, not for form, just because he's kind of been in the last few squads, was Sam Simmons.
Yeah.
Sam Simmons is pulled out of contention. He's
making his move.
He's going to France.
Montpellier, isn't he?
It's the exact same as what Jack Noel's done. He's just said, "Look, I can't play in the World Cup."
Yeah, I've seen that because Jack Noel is on his way to La Rochelle.
Question then, and again, there's a continuing spinning, rotating belt of shite that we keep discussing. Joe Marchant is joining Stade Francais.
Yes.
So you going to go to the World Cup?
I think that the whole concept is going to be scrapped.
Zach Mercer, I said it there. He's still listed as an
I don't think that they can afford to not cap those players who have gone abroad.
Well, we may as well get into it then, because another team is gone.
I think we said it last week.
It wasn't confirmed last week when we recorded.
It is now definitely confirmed. Old London Irish done.
Hell yeah, 125 years
down the drain.
You know what? I'm not a London Irish fan, but they were fun to watch from a neutral point of view. And if you have followed this podcast from the start, you know how close London Irish is to our hearts. They were the first club that really gave us a chance to speak to a first-team player when we spoke to Captain Matt Rogerson. That was on a press conference. They gave us that much faith. They let us talk before your big newspapers and all that. We then got Kyle Rowe during his breakout season that got to an international call. Then we had Oliver Hoskins, who stole everyone's heart when he got that dream debut at Twickenham for his country, just because he was the right guy in the right place. But again, great guys. I'm lucky enough to be friends with them all. And some of the messages I've got from them during the weeks, it's heartbreaking. It's really hard. But from what I've heard, and I can't go into much detail because I don't actually know much detail, Oliver Hoskins has found a new team.
Yeah, there's a lot of players in that, and I'm trying to bring a positive spin onto it. There's a lot of players in that London Irish squad who will be snapped up by other clubs, definitely.
Well, we mentioned them last week for big money for Marcus Smith. Racing 92 want Henry Arundel.
Henry Arundel. I'd seen this. I wasn't sure if it was confirmed or anything. But yeah, that would be a signing for them, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would be magic. But again,
Henry Arundel in the top 14.
This eligibility rule needs to drop then.
Yeah, because Henry Arundel is a future.
Not just for Henry Arundel. I mean for Sam Simmons, for Luke Dickey.
Yeah, but I'm talking about if you're willing to lose talent, young talent like a Henry Arundel, just because of your stupid only in England rules, then prepare not to compete at World Cups.
I'm going to say those two key words that we mentioned last week. And spoilers for the interview that we had this week, because he agreed with me. Centralised contracts.
We said it before. We said it last week. I think we probably said it the week before.
Yeah, but
they make sense and they keep players' jobs secure.
It's job security, most importantly. It's job security, and it takes the pressure off the clubs. They don't have to pay stupid money for the big boys because English rugby is doing it.
Exactly.
They could spend a bit more cash on a young lad that they really, really want to keep. Like Tom Pearson. Fantastic player. Breakthrough player of the season for the Prem. Now doesn't have a club.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, XR Chiefs did lose Dave Ewers. Can we have Tom Pearson?
They did.
Can we have Tom Pearson?
No.
Why not?
You've lost so many players.
That's what I'm saying. We have lost so many. Just give me one.
Hey, you need get signing from London Irish.
Let's start poaching. You don't have to pay as much now.
Put in your own bid. Put in your own bid for Henry Arundel.
Oh, Henry Arundel is a replacement for Stuart Hogg. Oh! Actually, Matt Rogerson, not just because he's friends of the show, but Matt Rogerson's a very solid Premiership caliber fullback flanker.
Yeah.
Get him there. And just because he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Actually, there's my plea. My plea as a podcast host that's had 3 great guests on to my beloved Exeter Chiefs, get them signed. They all make sense. Oliver Hoskins can replace one of the props. Oliver Hoskins is a very solid tight head prop. Great player.
Yeah.
Matt Rogerson, fantastic. Premier. I'm not saying you don't have to get them capped internationally. Very solid Premiership caliber flanker. He's been the captain in the last 3 years. He's got that leadership skills. He does the nitty-gritty stuff that not many players want to do. And then in the backs, Kyle Rowe. We've just lost Jack Noel.
Yeah. Where do you see the Premiership, or what do you see the Premiership looking like next season?
I don't know anymore. I really don't.
And do we see potentially a team like Newcastle Falcons struggle next season? Or
Probably.
do we see maybe a U-turn from the RFU and Premiership Rugby trying to fix it? Because they have to. Surely it must be on their list of things to do.
I'm not saying drop the salary cap because apparently it's there for a reason because teams are spending.
Yeah, but to make it fair, I don't see that as a valid reason because I mean top 14 is flourishing. Actually, interesting stat: top 14, the average stadium attendance throughout the whole season is 16,000 average.
Yeah, I think you need to do something. I don't know what, because again, like I said on the interview that we'll mention shortly, I'm not a businessman. I don't know the ins and outs. I'm not looking at the sheet going, oh yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't take a genius to go, well, 3 teams have died this season.
Something's not working.
Do something. Announce something. Don't leave us all in the dark.
But yeah.
No.
We'll move on. We'll move on to actually before we get on to game of the week, I'll move on to my new segment that I have forced upon Murray, jersey of the week. Now, because Murray isn't at home, he doesn't have his jersey of the week, but the idea of jersey of the week is a jersey in our collection which we are fond of that week, or a new jersey that we have got. Now, my jersey of the week, I've got it here, is another Sharks jersey, but a Sharks Academy jersey.
That's quite cool.
It's not the most, but it's not black. It's dark grey with a light grey stripe through it instead of the black with a white stripe. Very reminiscent of the Currie Cup jersey, just slightly different colours. The old Mr. Price sponsorship. But yeah, Sharks Academy, I saw this on eBay and I was like, well, I have to have that. Because how often do you find Academy jerseys rocking about?
That's a valid point, actually. I agree with that. I'll give you that one, Cam.
I mean, yeah, I was very happy to find that. But yeah, and also I got this old Toulouse and a Toulon jersey recently, but that Sharks jersey, because it's something interesting, something unique, that tips my jersey of the week. Now, going on to game of the week, I'll start off because I've got mine pre-picked. In the Rugby Sevens Europe series, we had some very interesting fixtures. My favorite was Georgia Sevens beating France Sevens 14-17. Georgia getting the dub on the seven scene against France, who I imagine probably weren't playing their best team, but another dub for Georgia. And it feels like Georgia are getting quite a few big wins lately, just in terms of 15s and 7s by the looks of it. So yeah, Georgia getting a big old 7s victory over the French.
Happy days. Well, I am going to go to, I did have it, Super Rugby Americas.
We love that.
Where, I apologise in advance if I'm butchering the pronunciation, Penarol.
Yeah.
defeated Doggos 15, 23-17.
Interesting thing about the doggos. I actually found out that a doggo is a breed of dog in Latin America, South America, which is basically like a pit bull on steroids.
A Doggo Argentino. Oh my God!
Yeah, look at that thing.
Woo, woo.
and then it makes because we've talked about the doggos a few times. Where it's like that's an interesting name for a rugby team, doggo. Yeah, no, it's a pretty good.
It's like a nickname for all dogs, like a doggo. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, pretty good name, I'd say.
Big butch dog.
A big butch dog of death. But yeah, that's the game of the week.
It is. There you go. And just to round off, like I've been hinting at all episode, we have a new interview out.
Oh, yes.
Now, if you reminisce about when Eddie Jones and England were dominant, you need to remember this man then. Paul Gustard, defence coach. He's been defence coach at Saracens. He's been the defence coach at England, like I've just mentioned. He was Harlequins head coach during the pandemic. He is currently defence coach at Stade Francais. And what a guy. Absolutely love it. He's so knowledgeable, so passionate. He talks very, very highly of Eddie Jones. He tells you who the best athletes are that he's worked with as opposed to the players he's worked with, because there's a difference. And yeah, he's just a great guy. He talks about life in Paris. Yeah, all good. No complaints.
And might I say, his intro for the interview, very smooth. Very smooth. Very aesthetic.
Also very brag. Just like, yeah.
It's me. I'm in Paris. It's hot. Look at the trees.
Yeah. Eiffel Tower's that way. There we go.
Exactly. I loved it.
But yeah, what a guy. And coming out this week, we're back on the Sevens circuit with Demi Hayes of Australian Sevens. She has won pretty much everything. She's got a Commonwealth gold. She's got a World Series. She's got the World Cup. Think of it, and she's done it. And I cannot wait. It's going to be great. There's also another one coming out later this week, but I'm not going to reveal anything. I'll tell Cam once we've done recording, but there we go. And yeah, as always, we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Instagram. Follow us as a podcast and follow us all individually. We're also on TikTok. Same rule applies there. We're on LinkedIn.
Well, you are.
I am. I'm on LinkedIn, and it seems to be working. So
nothing to do with LinkedIn, because I am not that guy.
I'm not that. Well, I never was, but
you are that guy, Murray. You are that guy. I am the other guy.
The other guy. But as always, hit the little notification bell to get first dibs to this. Hit the subscribe button so the numbers keep going up, because we want that. And yeah, obviously. Yeah. Next week we have semi-finals for the Super Rugby. We have the top 14 final. We have Currie Cup
semi-finals. Woohoo!
More rugby news. Hopefully more.
Yeah, better rugby news. I want to hear next week that Worcester Warriors, the London Wasp and London Irish have been rejuvenated and bought out by some American super billionaire. And they absolutely stormed.
Premiership rugby. There we go. Yeah, that's what's happening. But yeah, we'll see you next week.
Cheers.